C'est tellement chaud.
Ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, 2 weeks ago I had the honor and the pleasure of welcoming a very high-ranking Chinese delegation in Bruges. The members were the Prosecutor General of the Supreme People's Proctorate, a former student of University of Ghent, the Chief Prosecutor of Shandong Province, the Chief Prosecutor of Hubei Province, the Chief Prosecutor of Hanzhou Province, the Director General of International Cooperation Department of the Supreme People's Proctorate, and the Deputy Director of Procurator General's Office of the Supreme People's Proctorate. They have been visiting Bruges. They met our magistrates, and they had an audience with our provincial governor. And it resulted in a very valuable exchange of idioms, originating from each member's personal experience. I have the small feeling that this had only been the beginning. It did give us a completely new vision about the younger Chinese generation. In nowadays China, which is striving for more openness. But you will probably ask yourself how my personal link with China came about. It started some 40 years ago, when I was involved in adoption cases. Then it spread to taking care of entry visas for tourists, business people and students, taking care in providing professional cards and assisting in all sorts of court procedures. In these days, I had to find my own interpreter to assist in court because nobody was able to translate. Later, I made it to vice chairman and finally to a national chairman of the Council for Economic Research involving foreigners in the Ministry of Merchants and Economy. In my position of national chairman, I treated during 20 years all applications for Flanders and quite often for Brussels and the Walloon region. As such, I got a very wide scope in which kind of type of professional and trade activities foreigners from all over the world wish to deploy in our country, either in the personal name or in the name of a company. In that period, I have to treat thousands of applications from Chinese nationals. Treating these cases was far from easy, but I was assisted by a score of the ministerial departments, such as the Home Office, the Immigration, National Security, Social Affairs, just to name you a few of them. I always put myself to the task of finding out who wanted to deploy what sort of activities and moreover why. I investigated connections, trainings, experience, and not less important, which guarantees they carried. By following this line of action, the Council very often found irregularities, networks, and potential misuse. I was stern, correct, but very selective, putting the emphasis and qualities instead of the qualities. And we are proud about the achievements of the Council. Most of those I granted admission, varying from single-person business to middle-size and even state-owned companies, big Chinese companies. And they become very successful. A lot of those people adopted already the Belgian nationality. They bought properties, they create employment, and they work hand in hand with Belgian companies. But we refused scores of people who came to Belgium with either good and bad intentions because of sorts of uncanny traffics, bad advice, abuse misuse of procedures, bad considers, and mispresentation and ignorance. Lot of them lost face. After filing their studies, they chose the path in illegal activities, such as traffic of students, or brought themselves into companies at exorbitant amounts. I have tried to help many people finding themselves in very difficult circumstances, and I still am. But a well-through preparation and professional guidance is of the utmost importance. The moment I was appointed as chairman, I couldn't take care anymore for my childish cases. But now, because I finished the job, I can start again to take care of a lot of old friends who want to do business and who are looking to find the right way to obtain the very difficult papers. As you may know, friendship in China is regarded as being a very precious value. Satisfied people want to present new friends to the old friends. That my new Chinese friend got to a more or less moral obligation and invited me to visit them in China. So I was in China for the first time, pushed by my Chinese friend at the occasion of the CIFID Fair, China Investment and Trade Fair in Xiamen. It was in 1995. I was even in the company of Wu Yi, who was then Vice Prime Minister of China, and many other high-ranking officials, because in those days there weren't hardly any other Europeans in sight. I was the only one when it started in the CIFID Fair, and now it is the biggest investment fair in China, coming from all over the world, and it is usual in the beginning of September. I return very often to the CIFID Fair and saw the international investment growing up to one of the major events in China. I also visit the Fuzhou Fair, who was a special fair for the overseas Chinese from Fujian origin, and I'm speaking about 11 million overseas Chinese from one province. And friends and authorities asked me for advice. I received official delegations in Belgium and assisted every which way I could. The people who were there at the beginning, I'm speaking about 95, 96, became my friends. And now, actually, they are the top of the leaders of China. I can speak about the Vice President of China, was foreign governor of the Fujian province, city mayor of Shanghai, foreign governor of the Fujian province, and they're all going to the top. But they have not forgotten their former friends. And the Chinese, when you're friends and you stay friends, they never forget you. And that is the base to start to do business and to be successful. In 2005, I was appointed Belgian advisor for the Fujian province. Friends from other provinces introduced me to their authorities, adding each their own link to the present chain in relations. But now, every 2-3 days, we receive letters for activities about China. Everybody speaks about China. Everybody wants to go to China and want to start business. But this is far from as easy as it may seem. There's a lot of more jollier than success. To learn how to understand China and the Chinese way of doing business is very demanding in preparation, requires and stringent selection of good and liable friends. A lot of experience, and even more important than any else, a lot of common sense. Today, we came together to listen and to learn from the rich experience that our speakers accumulated in China. Everybody in his speciality. My personal experience is more general, personal contacts, and help people when there is no solution anymore by using my good friends. Getting acquainted with each other and to go home with some practical experience. My learned friend, Mrs. Chelsea, who directs an international law firm, and myself, with my international experience all over the world, are convinced that our concerned action, professional experience, contacts and teamwork with other lawyers should give a new impulse to a better dialogue between China and Europe. Everybody speaks about China, everybody can do something in China, but finally you need much more to be successful. On top, we can rely on Chinese assistant, Mrs. Gao, who is a trainee lawyer and whose father is one of my very close friends. He was many years ago, and I'm speaking about perhaps 25, 30 years ago, one of the first Chinese who obtained the doctor's degree at the University of Leuven, and who can rely on an exceptionally strong network in China. Really, I still remember when I was the first time in China, he brought me to the top, to the president of Chinese investment companies. We were meeting all the authorities. I was ashamed when I arrived in Beijing. The bodyguards were waiting downstairs, protected cars. They were not used to that, but when they can do something for their friends, they do it. And we have to look for the high level. We decided to join our experience and network to assist our clients from the very first stage of the project, not to help them when they have already plenty of problems, to do the necessary follow-up during the development of the project, and finally to rejoice in their success. An old proverb states, a very old one, Flemish, you can see it on the paintings of Bruegel, that it's too late to close the barn after the cows have gotten out. Or, a man forewarned is a man forearmed. We would like to celebrate the start of this collaboration with you, and we are very thankful to Leo de Smet, is one of my close friends. He was with me in China. He took the floor front of the top authorities of China, speaking in Dutch with a translator, and he is offering us the drink for the reception, and he is the only guy who produced bio beer. You can taste it, and I'm looking for your advice later on. We are entirely at your disposal, and would like to ask us, if you have questions, you can ask them later on. I thank you for your attention, and I would like to give the floor to my learned colleague, Mr. Churchy, who will explain you a little bit more about the proposal and the subject of the meeting of this afternoon. Thank you.